Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Quality Time with Uncle Drew. And you know that I love to find people that love to read. And we have no other than somebody who reads, well, let me slow down. Somebody who said reading 10 books in a month is a slow month. That just alone should let you know what type of stuff she owned. Um, she started a podcast called The League of Readers. You can catch her on Threads. You can catch her on Instagram talking about anything and everything books. She says the life is too short to be reading all these books written by white people. That's pretty much what she told me a little while ago, which I 100% agree with her. So, Shelby, what is up, girl?
Hey, how are you?
I'm
You
doing,
mentioned that 10 book thing, and I was counting how much I've read this month. And the first thing that popped into my mind was I was like, you're gonna judge me when it's 17 books this month.
and we just got to halfway, right?
We just got to halfway. I If I finish everything that I have planned, it'll be 17 for the month. And I think I will. And I'll probably sneak another romance in there. So 17, 18.
That lets you know what type of caliber reader we are dealing with here today on Quality Time with Uncle Drew. But more so than anything, I really have a respect for readers. Like you have there's no shame in you talking about books and you talking about what you're reading and you talking about the characters you like in the book, characters you don't like in the book. You are probably one of my favorite follows when it comes to this book stuff, just because I'm just like, I don't know what I'm gonna get from her today to day, and depending on what she reading, I might just have a shock to me. For those that don't know, I reached out to you, and I invited you on as a guest. We'll be discussing Tar Baby at the end of this month for my book club. But what are some interesting things you're reading right now? Because, like you said, all these books that you done been through and got already. What books are you reading? What are you liking so far, or have completed this month?
I am reading Death of the Author right now by Nindi Okorafor. It is my first Nindi Okorafor book. Um, I read a lot. Science fiction is a genre that I struggle with because the science part of the fiction makes me feel like I read with my finger. So I usually stay away from it. I would be very honest, I promote reading diversely, and you put science fiction in front of me, and I get afraid because I can't just flow into it the way that I'm accustomed to. So I was excited about this book, um, but nervous, but I'm loving it. I like her writing style. I like the voice. I like that there are different points of view. So we're getting the main character who's a disabled author. We're getting interviews from her family members, and then we're getting chapters from the book that she's writing. Um, excuse me, all mixed together. So I'm really enjoying that. The other things that I've enjoyed this month, I read Sula. And I don't want to stop yelling at the rooftops about Sula. It was a grand time. I I think that's where people should start with Toni Morrison because it's different from her other books, whereas in it's a bit messy. And I think that will pull people in and get them past the difficulty of her writing style and her tone and her voice. But I love Tony so much because of her style and her tone and her voice. So I was happy to get the mix. So Sula was really good. I read Sky Full of Elephants again. That was one of my favorite books last year. Sibo Campbell was actually on my podcast last week. He has become a very good friend. I love talking to him. I love picking his brain. And then I've been reading through an urban fiction series about these two twins that are drug dealers. It's a fun time. It's a very fun time. It's a lot of bang bang shoot 'em up. Um, I think my only gripe is that drug dealers don't look like these men look in real life. They don't. This I would go with Capadonna. I would go with him if he told me that he wanted me. I would just go. But unfortunately, he's can only be my book boyfriend. So
Only my book boyfriend. So you just gave us what, three, 20 more Sula, three reads right there.
Mhm,
Plugged your podcast, The League of Readers, like you said, a lot of good stuff. I watched a couple episodes and I had to turn it off because I was laughing so much because I was like, yo, she really be on 10, but we learning some stuff here. Like that's good. I love that. You said something very interesting though, because it's something I want to talk about. So not getting too much into Tar Baby, but talking about Toni Morrison. You
mhm,
said, the style she writes with and how she writes, and this is I read The Bluest Eye a long time ago, but I can't really
okay.
recall it, so I need to double back. But when you talk about her style of writing, explain what you mean by her style of writing in general.
To put it simply, Toni Morrison can write a passage that will make you say, "Are we talking about sex or are we talking about a flower? What are we talking about, girl?" She's very intentional with her words, and I think that's important. But there's skill there. I think the easiest way I can explain it is Toni Morrison is not only a good storyteller, she's a good writer. So, like, there's a scene in Sula where, without spoiling it for anybody, but Sula tells the story of two girls in their friendship, Sula and Nell. And there is a betrayal. And Nell is like, "You did this thing to me." And very plainly, Sula was like, "I didn't kill him, girl. Like it was just sex." Like but it was so plain, right? Like it was plain English, but it still had this flair of like you knew that these were black women. You understood the environment that they were in. You could feel both of them very clearly, but you also could understand that they were both having two different conversations. Like they were talking way past each other. Um so that's what I love about Toni Morrison because she's gonna think and it sticks. Her books stick to you like hot soup. Like they just stay. They just stay. There are things I know I'm going to think about Sula for the rest of this year. I know that I am. And there will be other things that I read that I'll be able to connect back to Sula. There will be things that I'll read that'll all of a sudden something that Toni Morrison said will make sense and I'll understand Sula deeply. It's the same way with Beloved. Beloved is one of my all-time favorite books because I cannot get over a haunted house being the personification of trauma, right? Like that's powerful. That is beyond. But you also can look at Beloved and say, well, is it about generational trauma or are we talking about the after effects of slavery? Right? Like, are we talking about how we aren't actually truly free because we have all of this mental damage, right? All of these things that we're carrying with us from this event. That's the power of Toni Morrison. You could read it at surface level. You could, but she doesn't allow you to. That's my girl. I love her.
That's a major bar right there. And you said it sticks to you like hot soup. Oh my gosh. Jeez. Are you got some writer in you, I can tell.
Everybody says that. I've been doing a little more on my Substack. I'm trying. I'm dabbling.
Okay,
It's fun.
I'm gonna make sure I dabble and read because I'm like, hold on, sticks to you like hot soup. Okay, all right, little mini Toni Morrison bar right there. But one of my favorite things about Toni Morrison is that interview she did a long time ago. I posted it not too that long ago, but I forgot who was interviewing her. A white woman was interviewing her, and she kind of was like, yeah, da, 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 you know how it goes. But she asked her, when are you gonna make a white character the focal point of your book? And Tony went kind of sideways on her. And she was like, "You don't understand how incredibly racist that is." And then went on to school her just by saying, like, you would never ask that to a white author, but you sit here and I'm writing about black people and y'all don't even like me writing about black people. Like y'all can't not be the focus or center of attention for like 2 seconds here. Like,
Right.
geez, and I'm a Nobel Peace Prize winner, Pulitzer Prize winner, and all that stuff. So when it comes to authors, who are some of your other favorite authors that you like to tap into, read, or that they just do great work?
Jesmyn Ward. Jesmyn Ward is like this love child of Toni Morrison and Zora Neale Hurston, but she's still very modern. The way that I describe her to people is Jesmyn Ward is your very cool cousin who went to college and has like all of these degrees, but she's still gonna sit on the porch with you and drink a bottle of Hennessy and roll up a blunt, you know? Like she's not so far removed from her culture. She hasn't let academia sway this who she is, right? Like, yeah, those are my accomplishments and I have all of this education and I write very, very well, but still I am a black woman that has gone through things. Still I am a mother. Still I am grieving my brother. Like she's so I haven't read anything that she's written that I didn't love. I will say with Jasmine Ward, if you want to venture into her work, start with her memoir. Her memoir informs her other work, and I think it'll help. She writes a lot about grief in different ways, from different perspectives, because there's been a lot of grief in her life. Like she's had to grieve a lot of the men in her life, and just all of these things. So I would say start with The Men We Reaped. It is a phenomenal memoir. Um, but like the things that I love about Jasmine Ward. So her latest book is Let Us Descend, which is a historical fiction about a slave who is being sold south. And Let Us Descend is a quote from Dante's Inferno. You know how well read you have to be to not only have Dante's Inferno lingering in your head, right? Because it's a book that lingers in my head. I've been fascinated with Dante's Inferno since I read it in college and had to write a paper on it. Um, but to take it and to be able to say, hey, she is, per the path that I've created for this character, descending into a hell of her own sorts and writing about that journey. Like she is a genius. And then you meet her and she's so regular. Like I met her and I was like, ma'am, you could write your grocery list on the back of an Applebee's napkin and I will read it multiple times over. I don't care. You can write my name on a paper and crumple it up, and I will read it forever and ever. Her mind is just amazing to me. I think some others I can think of. Walter Mosley is a favorite. I got to meet him a couple of weeks ago. That was phenomenal for me to just be able to sit and listen to him. He is every black uncle that you think he is, just mad, cool, and swaggy. You know, the girl was asking him about the new character in this series that he's been writing. And she was like, you know, how did you come up with these things? And he was like, I don't know. You sit down and you write, and then you write another sentence and you write some more, and then you got a book. Like, bro, answer the girl's question. Bothering her. Um, Toni Morrison, of course. I want to say James McBride. I've read all of his books. I love him. I think he is one of our greats. Percival Everett. I don't feel like I've read enough of his books to say that confidently, but I already know. Um, he is a troll. Percival Everett is a troll. And I love that about him because he is having these deeper conversations and there is talent there, right? Like it is well thought out, but he writes in a style that makes you feel like he might not know what he's talking about. Like he just was playing. But if you read deeply, right? If you are open to the possibility of words, you can see all of the things that he's trying to say or whatever the case may be. So those are who come to mind. I think if you ask me about indie authors, romance wise, I'd say ML Bash, I'd say Casey Mills. Um, Tia Williams is one of my favorites for romance. That's all I can think of off the top of my head. But most at the high up on the list is Jasmine Ward.
Okay. She's like, that's all I those are the only 20 I could think of off the top of
Mhm.
my head. So we'll go ahead and move on. No, but you just gave everybody a whole list of things. You gave them reasons. You gave them your mind is a treasure, and we need to put that in the African American Museum of Modern Art.
Appreciate you.
Um and speaking about that, so you go into all these books, you talk about, you devour books, and I think your goal is 100 for this year, if I'm correct.
Mhm.
Um When did your love of reading start? Because I didn't grow up a reader. My parents didn't make me read. You said before we started, you said, you're a nerd at heart. That's your claim to fame. Like you with that, you 100% claiming that. When did your love for reading start, or what point do you mark it to back in your day?
Okay. I would mark my love for words being the start of that was music. I come from a very musical family. There's never a time when my family is together where there's not music playing, where we're not singing together, whether it sounds good or not. Music is where I started to analyze words and understand the impact of words, right? Like how you could put on As by Stevie Wonder and the words can transport you to a moment where you remember being with your family, or how those words just make everybody feel. Um, I come from readers. My mom is an avid reader. My dad would take me to the bookstore all the time. My dad is quick to tell everybody, like, I'm his only child that very much spent all his money on books. Like, he would take me to Barnes and Noble, and I come with a big old stack of books, and he would be like, all right. Whereas my sisters wanted clothes and like wanted to go out with their friends or whatever. And my dad was like, I could stick her in the room with some books and she won't come out until she's done. um, I remember being a kid, and like my family celebrates Christmas and we celebrate Kwanzaa on my mom's side. My uncle Mark always gifted us books for Kwanzaa. My mom would buy me books. I still have books from when I was a kid that my mom got me, and she would write notes in them for me. Like I still have them. So like I can't tell you like a particular book, but like reading wasn't taboo. Um, but I lost my love for reading after college because I was an English literature major, and everything was about reading to dissect and reading to discuss, and not necessarily reading just for the joy. So being an English lit major drained me. So I didn't read as much for maybe like 5 or 6 years. I would like here and there, I'd pick something up, and the want was always there. I had that
Mhm.
spark never died. I just had to retrain my mind to do it. Um, and even when I started reading again, so I started reading again in 2019. I had to turn my English literature major brain off. I had to turn that off. Like I had to realize that I was taught to read again as a college student, to look for certain things or to critique certain things. And I had to learn the love again. But I've always been like my mom, she would some of the stuff I was reading as a teen, like a preteen teen, I had no business. I had no business at all. None. But my mother was like, you could be outside doing it. You're picking books off my bookshelf. It's fine. So
Would any of those reads happen to be Jerome Dickey or anything like that?
wasn't Jerome Dickey, but it was Elin Harris. I may have found all of my mama's Zane books. Okay. She used to hide them behind the regular ones, and I would just tuck them back behind where I found them at. So she didn't know.
That's a very good problem to have. Like you said, your mom's like, at least you in here reading and you ain't out there being fast, so you good with me.
Right. She was like, I'd rather have an uncomfortable conversation with you because you read something that is beyond your age range than you to come home pregnant. Like, I read the first time I read Beloved, I was 15. And like my entire family was like, how did we get here? Like, what, you're reading Beloved? And I'm like, yeah, it's great. I don't know that 15-year-old Shelby knew what the hell I was reading. I
But
didn't
she was
realize it was
reading
a
though.
ghost until the end of the damn book. I didn't know what was happening. But yeah, no, it's reading has always been. I've loved words. Words are powerful, like the power of the tongue, right? But
Mhm.
you could string a bunch of words together and create a world. That's amazing. Like you can string words together and incite emotion. That's cool to me.
I'm
Like
definitely
a
go ahead.
punctuation mark can like
Yeah.
change tone. That's fascinating to me.
Mm,
and it always has been.
You I'm about to you saying so much in this damn interview. I'm gonna have a Shelby quote sheet that I'm like, oh yeah, this was in the words of great Shelby, she say this. I'm letting you know right now. You say you can string words together and make a world. And I was like, dang, I never thought of it that way. But like you've been talking about books, you've been talking about reading for so long. I'm glad your parents made it accessible, and also it's just like it's one of the hobbies that you would love. Not, I can't say everybody, but I guess it's so hard. Two of the things our kids struggle with these days are, math slash reading, and
Hmm.
writing, I guess you could say. But I guess when you have a kid that takes to it so easy, I mean, that's one less thing you have to worry about, especially with you going to college and being an English lit major as well. But when you speak of those things and that being the thing that you did when you were younger, like that's you knowing that your kid is up in the room and that's where they're gonna be because they got all the books they need, that is a very comforting feeling to have as a parent. I'm not a parent yet, but just thinking about it and just knowing that like she's just up there reading them books. That girl be okay. She come down, she gonna be hungry in a minute. She be down in a second.
Listen, I would get in trouble for something because like I've always been slick at the mouth. Like I wasn't a bad kid, but my mind has always been like I've always been going. So like growing up in a black household, do as I say, don't question me, don't talk back. And I was always the one with questions. Like, okay, you're telling me I'm in trouble and you telling me just to listen, but like I don't understand. So like shit like that would get me in trouble because I've been talking shit since I could talk. Since I could talk, I always got something to say. You started, I'm gonna finish it always. So like my mom would have to punish me by like taking my books away. Like, no, you can't read. You gotta go outside. And I would be like, no, just beat me. Just beat me. I don't want to go out there with the people kids. Like, just beat me. Take anything else. So I was always a kid. I didn't want to be with anybody else. I could open a book and go somewhere just as fine. So
That's funny. So say they had to use that reverse psychology against you. Okay, cool. She don't go outside. Now we got to make her go outside. Is she in trouble? No, you can't read. That's your punishment. You can't
can't
read.
read.
Dang. Oh, that would scar me, but that definitely gets you right. I'm gonna do some rapid fire real quick because there's some
Okay.
questions. It'll be questions, but depend on how you want to answer it, and we'll just go about it. Um, hardback or paperback?
Depends on my mood. It depends. I will also say it depends on the size of the book. If it's a thicker book, I prefer a paperback. It's just lighter, but don't really matter. It just depends.
Interesting. I've never heard somebody say that depend on my mood. Longest book you've ever read.
Probably like 600 pages. The
Okay.
Rage of Dragons by Evan Winters. I think that's like 600 pages. It's close to 600 pages.
Okay.
It's
All
a
right. Cool.
fantasy. It's one of my favorite fantasies. But I was in that man DMs harassing him. I was like, I need the third book tonight. I done told the people you my cousin because the book is so good. I'll bind the book myself. Just send me the manuscript. Me and my mama is in this house stressed out. I need to know what happened to Tal. That's my boy. And you just ended the damn book like that. He was like, you are so funny. Sir, laugh all you want. I'm serious. Send me the stuff.
So you
But
one of them crazy people that when the book end, when there you left he left you on the ledge like that. You can't be like that. You need to get
friend,
off.
Drew, listen, I was reading the second book in that series. And there is a love interest in the book, and they're finally in this moment where like they've decided on some bigger things, but they've also decided that they're finally going to admit to each other that they have feelings. And I turned the page and it says the fucking glossary. I was like, what do you mean a glossary? Where's the rest of the book? What do you mean? That was 2 years ago. It comes out in October. I've told my book club, I've told everybody that will listen, don't look for me in October. I will be knee deep in the world of the Rage of Dragons to figure out what happened to Tal.
So he did. Yeah, he dropped y'all off a cliff like that. Nah, that's not fair. I'm with
It's
you on that.
not.
I'm with you on
And
that
then my mother
100%.
was listening to the audiobook and she's in her room. We yell across this apartment like two old people. That's just how me and my mama's relationship is. And I hear her going, no, no, there's no way. So I'm like, what's happening? She was like, he was standing on the thing, and then all of a sudden music started playing. So she like, I'm looking around because I thought I sat on the remote and the book ended. Girl. So we both was in this house stressed out.
And who finished the book first?
She did actually.
Okay. Oh, okay, 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 okay.
She
No.
finished it first. We were stressed. Right now, the urban fiction series that I'm reading through, I have her and my aunt reading it with me. And I'm not I don't care about spoilers. Like if you're reading something that I'm going to read eventually or that I'm currently reading, like you could tell me what's going to happen. I'm still going to read it anyway. I kid you not. At least once a day, my mom was like, "So Capadonna and them had went down to the place, and the girl, and they need to leave him alone because he gonna kill everybody." She gets so excited. It is like one of my greatest joys to be able to share that with her still, like all these years later. But she gets so excited. Like you would think we knew these people.
Hmm. That's what books do. That's what books and good writing do and good characters. So I'm not even mad about it. Moving on to the next one. What is your opinion about DNFs? Should you have DNFs? Should you go back to DNFs? Are DNFs okay?
I think DNFs are necessary for a lot of different reasons. One, life is too short to be forcing yourself to finish something that you ain't vibing with, right? Be an adult and put the book down. It's all right. Ain't nobody gonna jump you. Nobody is gonna cuss you out about it. It don't matter for real. um, but I do think there are different levels to DNFs. So as someone that reads, like there have been months where I've read like 20 plus books, right? If I'm having a month like that where I'm just flowing through books and I get to a book that is slowing me down, not because it's not good, but it's just like messing up my flow. I know that it's not the right time for me to read it, right? So I'll come back to it eventually. Um there are books that I've read that I've had like moral things that I didn't agree with, or like I really didn't like the characters. That's a hard DNF. I'm probably never going to go back to them. Um I I think books allow you to read them when you're ready to.
Mm,
I think I truly believe in that. I could be a little bit of a woo bitch sometimes, but like there are some books that I've attempted to read years ago that like I just thought I was gonna love, and then I've read them now and I flew through them. So I don't think DNF should be as serious, but I think it's a deeper rooted problem with some people. I think people see reading as this thing that they should do because it's supposed to make them smart, and they're not doing it because they genuinely want to. So they have a hard time DNFing because they feel like they're letting someone down or they're not smart enough. And it's like all of this stuff that you probably should go sit on that lady's couch to talk about.
I was about to say that same thing. They need to seek some help.
Go on, dial the lady up, sit on her couch, cry a little bit about that time your granddaddy took your book, and get it over with. And then DNF the book and move on to something else and leave us alone.
Mm. So DNFs are okay. DNFs, there's a time and a place to read a book. It might not be at that point. You might not
Right.
be ready. The book might not be ready for you, one of the two, but it is okay to put that down, pick up another book, keep going, or do whatever you need to do, right?
Yep. Format is a big thing too. There have been books that I've tried to read physically that the audio book I flew through. So that's something that I tell people to consider too. Like if looking at the book is not vibing with you, just put the audio book on. It's not going to kill you. It's not that big of a deal. But,
Mm.
I understand that it's rooted in other things. People have other insecurities that they don't want to talk about, and the reason that they're reading. Like when people ask me, how do I read so much or how can I help them to read more? The first thing I say to them is you genuinely have to want to. It
Mm.
has to be a genuine want. You have to want to read a book, not want to be smarter, not want to look cool, not want to make that girl think that you don't read with your finger. None of that. You got to actually want to read a book. Now, the first one that you might open might be a Captain Underpants book. We meet you at all levels. Reading is reading is reading. It might be the subtitles on the television. As long as you're reading, will get you where you want to be eventually, but you just have to want to read. If it's any other reason than that, then it's not going to work.
You and this reading with your finger like
That's how they be reading. You could tell too, because it's always like the tone get choppy.
But you're 100% right about that. Reading, like we put this big stigma on what is considered reading, what isn't, what is popular, what you should read, what you shouldn't read, what you should stay away from. You're pretty much saying reading is reading. Pick up these books, open them, and gets to going.
That's it. It's simple. And like that's why I did so my most watched video on my YouTube channel happens to be a video about erotica by black authors, right? I'm no prude, but that's not something that I normally would be out in the public talking about. But my intention behind it was reading should be fun. And just because you're not reading a nonfiction, or just because you're not reading literary fiction, or what people would consider a real book, doesn't mean that you're not learning something, and doesn't mean that you're not actually a reader. So I think the exact quote is every woman should have three books, one for her mind, one for her heart, and one for her coochie. And now everybody calls erotica coochie books.
I
Everybody's
did
happy.
I did not expect to hear that today,
I know
but
you didn't, but it's you never know with me. But yeah, no, it's just, and I think I wrote about it for my Substack. I'll send it to you after this. But my intent behind it wasn't necessarily to create a safe space to talk about sex, but that's what I ended up doing. Which in turn led me to realize how taboo it is for Black women to be able to be open about their sexuality, right? But then also, I have tricked all of these people into reading more. Like, they are always like, oh, Shelby, I've read, all of these erotica that you, whatever. And I'll be like, dummy, I got you reading. It don't matter what it is. I tricked you. Have to you reading. And before you know it, you're going to be read Toni Morrison with a breeze. I win. I win.
that's that
Just had to
reverse
reel them
psychology
in.
your parents done been put on you.
Exactly. They thought we was in here talking about Hunter real hard. That ain't it. I just needed to crack the door open a little bit. Now we reading James McBride. Now we reading Jesmyn Ward. Now we, reading fantasy that we would have never thought we would have read before.
Mhm.
All because I said you needed a book for your coochie. I am a genius.
You're low key. I would never thought I was saying this and putting these in the same sentence, but it seems like you're doing the Lord's work. And I know that
Yes.
that and coochie don't belong in the same sentence, but we're gonna leave that right where it is. And you brought it up, so we're gonna segue into it. You talk about the highest performing video on your YouTube channel, your YouTube creator. You found this lane talking about books and expressing yourself through books and reviewing books and what you think. What made you just get started on YouTube and start using that as your avenue to push?
Um, Originally I wanted to be a beauty influencer. I love makeup. I used to like work in the makeup industry a little bit, dabbled here and there, and I used to make makeup tutorials, and it wasn't really doing much. When I originally started Shelby in the book club, I was only on Instagram, and I had grew my followers over there. I need to open that Shelby in the book club page back up, but I leave them where they at. I had grown that page to like 6,000 followers in like a couple of months, just talking about books, and people wanted long form content. So I was like, okay, here goes my YouTube channel. And people like to listen to me talk, which is crazy because I spend a large amount of my time being quiet. Like, if no one is directly talking to me, I cannot say words for days at a time and I will be okay. So it's very interesting when people comment on my videos and they're just like, oh, I love listening to you talk. Really? Why? I would rather not. I would rather not. But it's fun. I genuinely like talking about books. Like, I find myself even in like my everyday life where somebody will say something to me and I'll be like, I got a book for that. You want to read about it? I got a book for that. So I genuinely like talking about books, and I think people can sense that. Um, and I think I offer a different perspective. So they, you know, like to see things differently. But yeah, it was, I guess the other thing is my mom is also in social media. My mom is a content creator. Shout out Gigi Made It, in the yarn community. The iconic orange lady. Do not tell her I call her that in public. She will hold it against me. Because I usually am highly against it. But no, my mom is in social media and she has a YouTube channel. So I kind of was on her channel already. I've kind of already lived that life. So I think it was kind of like ordained for me to be doing what I'm doing, but I do genuinely enjoy it.
I think you're just like me in a sense where you, like you said, I can go days without talking. I don't need to talk to anybody. Not that I'm antisocial, but it's like I don't say anything unless I got something to say, and I most likely don't got something to say. But if we're talking about something I got to say something about, I'm with that. And so you found that lane in books, and I think it's a good affirmation for people to tell you. And I think it's weird too because I'm still getting used to my voice. I went to acting school to get used to my voice, and we all nobody's voice is the same, which is the funniest
Yeah.
thing in the world. Like people can imitate other people, but like think about it. A person you know, you can hear their voice on a phone or in a message, and you're like, oh, that's such and such. Like I know exactly who that is. Like even when we talk about celebrities or actors or anything like that, like we know who's who from these
Right.
qualities that are built in the voice. And you getting that affirmation from people on YouTube saying, I love to hear you talk, that's like kind of like a love language because there's so many people that are out here afraid to talk or afraid of their
Yeah.
own voice or just afraid of these smaller things. They don't really mean anything, but even me, I still hear my voice and I'm like, oh, I sound like that. That sound like
Yeah. I still have moments where I'm like, ew, why I sound why I sound like that? But I do have a kind of funny story. So um I I just show up as myself, right? And a lot of the times I don't realize the things that I'm saying or how they're impacting people because I'm just being me, right? And it's not that my intent isn't to have impact, it is, but my focus is just me being myself. So, my mom is a content creator in the yarn world, and a friend of ours who I consider one of my sisters. Her name is Adela Colvin. She has a yarn company. She hand dyes yarn. And we were at this big yarn convention in New York City, and I'm working in Adela's booth, right? And you couldn't tell me I wasn't cute that day because I had this little apron on and it was like tied around. I was cute, okay? And I don't know much about yarn. I take that back. I know things because I listen to my mom, and like the way that I love my people is if I know that you love something, I'm going to at least know enough about it to have a conversation with you. So like I can piece things together, but yarns come in different weights. So like I don't have an example for you, but like, okay, like my dress, right? This will be a smaller weight yarn versus like a chunky sweater. That yarn is thicker, right? And they have names. So I'm ringing the lady up and she's asking me, like, she hands me a skein of yarn and she's like, what can I do with this? And I say, you can make a hat. And she was like, okay, what if I get two of them? You can make two hats, baby. I don't know. I could ring you up, put it in a bag. And I'm ringing her up or whatever. And I turn around and she's crying. And I'm like, what are you crying for? And she goes, you don't know how inspirational you are. I was like, girl, your face is leaking. Stop doing that. I'm gonna cry with you. What are we to take the yard and go? But it was like that was the first time that I realized, like, oh, this is beyond me. My words are beyond how I interpreted whatever I was talking about. My words have a farther reach than just, oh, I'm just talking to my camera. Because I sure turned around. I was like, your eyes, your face is leaking. Why are you doing that?
and that was your first experience knowing like, yo, my voice carries some weight.
Yeah. And even in that moment, it took me a long time to accept that. It took me a long time to accept that because in my mind, there has to be intention behind impacting someone, right? Like
Mhm.
in my mind, that's work. And I don't work to be me.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm like, how is that impacting? Like, how is that moving you when I'm not even doing anything? There is no thought or whatever. I'm just sharing my life. I'm just, reflecting on like, oh, this is what happened to me. This is how I saw it. This is what I took from it. And people are like, wow. even last year with my open heart surgery, right? Like I didn't tell anybody I was sick. I didn't tell anybody I had like even my family. When I tell you them people cussed me out, they waited till I was better and they was like, if you ever in your black ass life, let me have it. Um, People didn't know that I had to have surgery until it happened, right? Until my mom put on social media, like, hey, y'all, we need y'all prayers. Like, my baby is going through this really big thing. And people had a lot of questions, which I didn't mind answering because it was a heart defect, but we didn't find it until I turned 30. 30 whooped my ass. 30 came and was swinging at me. Okay. So it all happened very fast and it was a very rare heart defect, like all of this stuff. And someone asked me, um, was I ever afraid? And I said no. And they looked at me like, baby, they cracked your chest open. What you mean? What you mean you wasn't scared? And I'm like, maybe my faith is set up different, right? Because faith doesn't feel to me.
Mhm.
Faith just is. I said, and I didn't have anything to be worried about. I trusted my doctors. I trusted my surgeon. I had an amazing team around me. My family was solid. I remember my best friend saying to me, she was like, "Where's your head at? What are we doing?" And I said, "We fight until I physically can't anymore." And she was like, "All right, chin up, chest out, let's get it." I didn't have nothing to be afraid of. Was I overwhelmed? Yeah. Was it crazy? Yeah, I felt like a real life Grey's Anatomy episode because they was
Episode.
coming in every morning. The one guy, he was like, "Do you realize how rare your heart is?" I'm like, "Could you just bring me some ice and leave me alone?" Like, leave me alone. But I remember someone saying to me like, "Wow, faith just is. Faith doesn't feel." And I was like, "It don't." All of that other stuff is those are feelings, right? When you pray about something and then you overthink it, that's anxiety.
Mhm.
When you get upset, right? That's sadness, that's fear, that's all of those things. But when you truly have faith, it don't feel like nothing. You just go through it. But I was just talking. I was just sharing my story. For people to take that and run with it, I was like, "Oh, I guess I do be saying some stuff sometimes."
I think you say a lot of good stuff all the I think you speak and talk about what everyone wish they could speak and talk about freely. Like they can, but like the lady said, like they can't do it like you. And it's also just it's hard because you see it as you being you, but other people probably see it as, man, I wish I could be that free. I wish I could
Yeah.
be that uninhibited.
I can see that. I totally can see that. But I'm like, life's too short to be holding on to stuff.
Hmm.
Let it go. Worst thing that can happen is I embarrass somebody. I always tell people that y'all gonna be embarrassed. I'm not gonna remember. I'm not gonna care. Y'all gonna feel away. Me, whatever. But the worst thing that can happen, what? Somebody tells you no, or someone says that they don't like how you made them feel. Okay, I'm sorry. And then we move
Hmm.
on.
Mm. So you go under the knife, open heart surgery.
Mhm.
Don't tell nobody. What do when you disappear from YouTube for a while, what do your people say when you finally come back?
So I did put a video up where I said, like, "Hey y'all, I'm sick and I don't know what this is about to look like." I just didn't give them any details. Like, don't like I think I had like stuff scheduled already, but I was just like, I'm gonna be gone for a little while. And then my mom posted like I had surgery, whatever the case may be. So I was like posting on my Instagram here and there. Um, but it wasn't until I had like our first event out after being sick that I really like started to talk about my surgery because I had a lot to process.
Mhm.
But a lot of what I had to process was I had been sick for all this time, and like doctors were basically telling me there was nothing wrong with me, but I was like, my body doesn't feel right. But I didn't have any like tangible things, and none of my numbers were like extreme enough for them to do deeper tests until it got bad.
Yeah.
And even like my version of bad wasn't even like what my I think that's another reason why I didn't have fear because my doctor said to me, he was like, we only find this once the artery has failed and we're trying to save someone's life. You walked in here. You brought yourself to the emergency room. We are okay. So that was another thing. But once I started really talking about it, they were just like, why didn't you say something? Like, why didn't we could have helped, or we could have sent food, or like we could have done something. And I'm like, I was okay. Like, I don't know. Like, my mind doesn't think in that way. But then sharing my story, I had someone in my book club who was pregnant and her baby has the same defect that I had.
Mhm.
And I was like, see, it's bigger than me. I'm your proof. I lived 30 years and I was fine. I was fine. We would have never, like, the biggest thing that I had was that, like, I was tired all the time. But even that, my doctor was like, maybe your iron is lower. Like, you just need a nap, girl. Like, you're not sleeping enough or whatever. So it wasn't anything super crazy. But they were just like, again, Shelby, you're amazing. I remember leaving the hospital and I was saying to the nurses, like, I have flowers in my room. I'm not taking them home. Like, give them to the people on this floor that haven't had any visitors. Like, let's brighten their day. And she was looking at me like,
Mhm.
you just had this life altering surgery and you're worried about people that don't have visitors. And I'm like, yes, they deserve peace of mind. They deserve something that's going to make them smile too. Do I have to do it myself? I'll do it myself. Dang it, just tell me the rules. Like, dang. But they all were just like, you survived this thing, like, without complaining and still uplifting people and still motivating people. And I'm like, yeah, what's the point of complaining? There's proof all over my life, all over my history that I'm going to be okay.
Mhm.
Time and time again, when I thought I was at the bottom, I was not. So what, I'm going to get scared now?
From just talking to you in this short period of time of this interview, you are a bright light. You are a, I don't even know what the word is of it. You got a lot of, I don't want to call it spunk because it ain't spunk. That ain't nobody uses that word no more. It's it's a whole it's this fieriness and this passion for life, really,
Mm.
for going against the grain and doing the thing that people don't do these days. And but mostly that's built in just being a good person or just being someone who is self-aware enough to think about others and to kind of self-reflect on all that and that whole mission. So as I sit here and listen to you, your story about open heart surgery isn't sad at all. Like the situation's sad, but after hearing it from you, I'm like, there's way worse things in life that somebody could be
Listen,
worried for.
people every time, that was a lot of the reason why I didn't tell anybody, because I didn't want anybody to pity me, because my perspective is open heart surgery saved my life and I get a second chance. People don't get that. I'm grateful. Now, would I have liked the universe, God, the ancestors to have given me a second chance in a different way? Yeah, because did I tell my surgeon, don't you cut me all the way up at my neck? Dang it, I like to wear low cut shirts. I haven't met my husband yet, okay? How I'm a real a man. And you're gonna have this big old scar. And I kid you not, I woke up and he was like, I cut you low. Don't cuss at me. It's like, my
Mm,
man, priorities. But it saved my life. It saved my life. My scar is a reminder that I am still here. I could not be. And then even deeper than that, right? Like, I've spent all this time in my life working on me, on loving me. And now I have this physical scar of how I've worked on my heart. Like,
mm,
don't pity me.
mm.
I got a second chance. I get to do what I get to be here and read the books and cuss at people for not reading diversely and talk about coochie books and making people laugh and stuff. Y'all need to be happy they crack my chest open like a pistachio too. I'm very unserious. Very unserious.
Very unserious, super witty, on point, every chance you damn get. I'm over here like, yo, my face is starting to hurt already, and it's only been like an hour on here with you.
Listen, my friends, I be feeling bad sometimes because I just be playing on their phone, just sending random text messages. Like, I feel so bad sometimes. Like, I don't know why y'all my friend. What did I say the other day? I had sent my friend a picture of somebody that like bought a book recently or whatever. And do you remember that part from the Boondocks where the boy was like, "What's up? The struggle is up, my brother. So I'm your
Yeah.
eggs and bacon."
Yep.
So I texted my friend and I said, I'm surprised he got this book because he wanted them like salami, egg, and bacon niggas. And she was like, go in the corner. Go in the corner.
Salami, egg.
Eggs and salami, eggs, and bacon niggas. He wanted them. He got Koofy and everything.
I know we can do Boondock quotes back and forth all day. I can go bar for bar with you, and I ain't watched it. I go back and forth watching episodes every now and then, but like everything between me and my sisters and my brothers is just ingrained, and I don't know what lobe it is, but one of these lobes is just Huey and just granddad and mostly Uncle Ruckus sitting
Yes.
right back here in this
I
lobe.
sing Don't Trust Them New Niggas Over Yonder. I sing that multiple times a week. But my show for real is Black Dynamite. Black
Okay.
Dynamite is the movie and the show
Hmm.
live in my head rent free.
I love me
Black
some Black
Dynamite is
Dynamite
my
too. They
Black Dynamite is my jam. But yeah, that's just who I am. I say what I say what's on my mind. I say what I mean. I'm just happen to be funny sometimes. That's all.
I think it's more than sometimes. I think you funny about 97% of the time. Like whether if it's what you say, whether if it's how you say it, like between those two things right there, you getting somebody every single time.
Every time. I think my mom's favorite thing that I do is when something is not going the way that I anticipated, I yell out quiet on the set and I make everybody start over. Like I legit make everybody start over. Not a like quiet on the set and whatever. Like if I walked in a room and I said, "Drew, look at what I did today." And you were just like, "All right, cool." I'd be like, quiet on the set and I will walk out and come back. Do it again. Do it again. Talk to me nice. Act like you care. Like you got some sense. Start it from the top. I make everybody start over.
Quiet on the set. I'm
Quiet
gonna
on the
take
set.
so much from this. I'm taking so much from this. I'm taking so much from you. I'm gonna give you your credit on everything too. I don't plagiarize, so I will citate, do my citations. I said citate. What am I doing? Tripping. I will citate all my sources. You will get credit for every single thing. You are such a beautiful soul, though. Like I said,
Thank
this is our first
you.
time even really sitting down talking like this. I hope to do this a lot more. Um,
Absolutely.
but just outside of that, I just want to say thank you for taking time to sit down with me. I always give my guest the last word. And so, Shelby, what would you like the people out there to know? What's your message for
Ah, I've been reading and writing a lot about generational trauma, um, and how we consider historical fiction trauma porn. So I think the thing that I will leave with you is I think it takes a lot to see your trauma as an adult and not as the person that experienced it or the child that experienced it. And I think if we are truly going to honor our ancestors, we need to do more than just say their names, but we need to see them as humans and nuanced creatures. So go read some historical fiction and heal not only yourself, but heal for them too. And that's what I'll leave with y'all.
them? Go read some historical fiction and heal for yourself and them too. Oh, anyway, see, you're welcome back anytime. We're gonna do this again. Once again, everybody, that is quality time with Uncle Drew here with Shelby. Go check out the League of Readers, interviewing great people. They sit down, they talk about all these books and books you need to be reading and books you should read. So they good people with me. And we'll catch you on the next episode next time. Stay healthy.